Hey everyone, today is my first YouTube video, and so I figured I'd just make a simple grilled cheese and tomato soup. So I'm using sourdough bread, just like the original, just normal sourdough. And I buttered it. Obviously you want a nice generous thing of butter. You don't want it like caked on there, but you don't want it like super thin. So like just a nice healthy layer. That is two different butters. I'd ran out of the soft serve, so I had to use stick butter. Just melted it in the microwave. A little hack for stick butter if it's in the fridge and it's not spreading. Throw it in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds. Don't let it melt, but you want it to get soft. And if you cut it up into little pieces, it'll help melt that or soften it evenly. Because what will happen is if you don't cut it into little pieces, the edges will get super melty and the middle will still be hard. So like cut it up and throw it in there for like 10 seconds and you have a nice soft stick butter at that point. So what I'm going to do is I am going to season my grilled cheese with garlic salt, and we'll take it from there. Alright, so as you can see, I have it all seasoned and it's ready to go on the pan, and the pan has been preheating for a little bit, so we'll do that right now. Also, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but this is my first YouTube video, so I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to YouTube, so just bear with me. I would like to make this my career someday, so I do plan on making the quality of my videos a little bit better. But for now, I'm just starting out somewhere and seeing where the journey takes me. Okay. So there's that disclaimer. So for a grilled cheese, it's really helpful if you have your pan hot enough to where once you put the bread on, it's going to start sizzling. One, it cooks faster, and two, it gives it that nice even caramelization that you want from a grilled cheese. So a little hack to know is I put my stove on high, and then I put a little bit of water in there, and then when all the water's evaporated, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it in there, throw both breads in there, and then I'm going to turn it down. I have a gas stove, so I'm going to turn it down to like 6 or a 4, maybe on 5, but your own stove is going to be, you got to know your stove, and just like it's like a medium heat for whatever that is on your stove. Alright, so the water's almost boiled out. Once it is, I'll throw it on and you guys can listen to that sizzling sound. I love that sound, it's so cool. Alright, so we are almost all boiled away. I'm gonna go ahead and add my bread now, so. And 3, 2, 1. Fucking called it. Oops, I can't cuss on YouTube. I don't give a shit. Oh yeah. Listen to that baby purr. Alright, so I'm gonna throw this on. Alright, so this is when you gotta act fast. So sorry if the camera's a little jostled. So you want to turn that down at this point. It's still sizzling, but now you have to add your cheese. And what I like to do is I actually like to build it once I have it on. So I'll be right back. So I have cheese, turkey, lemon pepper, don't knock it till you try it, more cheese to bind everything together, and because, I mean, it's cheese, come on, and tomato, awesome. And I mean, you don't have to do tomatoes, you can do mushroom, onion, whatever you want. But I would suggest limiting the ingredients that you put on your grilled cheese. because the more, I mean, you can put as much as you want. I will stack my grilled cheese up like mountains sometimes, but I've gotten really good at flipping. When it comes to the more ingredients you have, the harder it is to flip. That's why for usually what I'll do is I'll dress it, I'll put the bread on, I'll flip it, and then I'll toast this guy. But when it comes to like making a video or just keeping it simple, I just decided to do both at the same time. That way you can just add it and like flip it and then let the bottom melt. So stuff like that. So long story short, it's just like simpler to toast both instead of flipping it and try to toasting the other side. So yeah, but the less ingredients you have, the simpler it is to handle while cooking, and it's less likely to fall apart. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. Alright, so I'm gonna flip this guy. Oh shit. Alright, so I gotta cut this. Oh, we got some crusty cheese. We got cheese chips. That's what my dad calls them, cheese chips. Like these things. Oh my god, they're so good. Alright, so now we flip like that. Oh, look at that. The edges could have used a little bit more time, but the middle looks great. So I'm just going to flatten that. And then this is what I was talking about, flipping it. So usually the way I make them is this part will still be raw, and I'll take it off the plate and I'll put it on after I'm done dressing it. But to make it simpler, I just cooked both sides. So the flip was a little bit easier. It's very hard to cook and hold the camera. See that? It's kind of like off. Hold on, I'm gonna put the camera down. I need to get some equipment. Yeah, so the cheese was too melted. It already glued itself together, but it's not too bad. I promise I'm a better cook than this. It's really hard to cook and hold a camera. Yeah, that should be fine. It's just gonna be a little wonky, that's all. But I mean, glides and slides. Alright, well, that grilled cheese is done, so I'm gonna plate it, and then I'm gonna cut it, and then I'm gonna make my tomato soup, and that should be it for the meal. So something I like to do with the grilled cheese is lay a paper towel down, because if you put toasted bread on like a plate like that, what's going to happen is it's going to build up steam and moisture, and then it's going to get soggy. And who likes a soggy grilled cheese? There's like no point in that, right? So lay a few paper towels down. Sorry for the messy kitchen. I live with like 10 people, so it's not ever clean. Alright, so just like that. Then I'm going to cut it. Alright, now for the soup. Alright, for tomato soup, usually it comes in like a condensed tomato soup style thing. The store I had like pre-made tomato soup. The store I went to, the grocery outlet, had like pre-made tomato soup. But for the condensed stuff, all you want to do is just put the condensed stuff in the pot, and then add like a can, fill up the can with water, put it in, and like whisk it with a fork, and then apply heat. That'll become tomato soup. So usually what I like to do is, obviously you want to apply heat. I have the jankiest stove, so bear with me. Yeah, that lit. Okay. So I'm gonna put that on like a 7. Remember, I have a gas stove, so if you have an electric stove or even a different gas stove, the numbers are going to be different, but a 7 is like a medium high. It goes up to 9, 10. Yeah, so like I'm a 7 out of 10, so that's like a medium high. Whereas the grilled cheese was like a 5, so that's like a straight up medium. Okay, so now I'm going to season it. So for the seasoning, I'm just going to apply an Italian seasoning. I know what you're thinking. It looks like a lot, and it probably is, but it'll taste great. But just remember, like, seasoning, it is an art. You do not want to over season, but you don't want to under season either. And usually what I like to do is I mean, you can measure it out if you want, but seasoning, how do you know if you have enough? Just use proportions, you know? So, like, for example, I have this much soup, you know, and you got these little flakes, right? So you don't want to just, like, do a little sprinkle on top. Like, you actually want to give it a good amount of a seasoning, but you also don't want a mountain because, like, it'll absorb all your soup, you know? So, but, like, if you were making, like, a 5-gallon thing of tomato soup, you might use this entire thing. So it's all about proportions and just, like, I don't know, I feel it out. Like, I feel like, okay, it's like that's a good amount of seasoning to dish ratio. Like, I don't measure it, I just kind of feel like, okay, that's good enough. But some people, you know, have a hard time doing that and they need to measure things out. So there's nothing wrong with measuring it out. Like, when I bake, I measure everything, and my grandma can just throw salt and sugar in there and call it she makes bomb ass cookies, and I'm like, well, how do you do that? You know, so just the more you do it, the better you get. You'll screw up sometimes, but if you really want to learn how to cook, just keep doing it, and you'll find your sweet spot. And that's how I learned. Okay, so now the Italian seasoning's in. Now I'm gonna add some garlic, and again, just proportions. So, but garlic is strong, so you don't want all that much garlic. I just, like, covered the top. My girlfriend loves garlic, so if she was here, I'd probably add a lot more. And then finally, alright, so I'm just going to bring that to a boil and it'll be ready to serve. I don't know if I was recording, but I did add onion powder. I'm doing this on my $80 phone, so like I said, it's my first video. I have a lot to learn. I've probably made more mistakes than I care to admit during this video, and you've probably seen them all. Okay, so it's not at a full boil, but it is at a simmer. And obviously you don't want it at a full boil because that's just too damn hot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the heat now and serve it up. Alright, so I'm not a fan of drinking my tomato soup, and for the longest time I wouldn't eat it because of that fact. But if you just add some oyster crackers and some cheese into the bottom, that actually adds some depth to your soup, and it makes the texture really, really awesome. So what I usually do is I'll eat the grilled cheese first, and then I'll eat the soup, and by that point, like, everything is kind of, like, marinated together, and it's really, really good. I love it. So it's like cereal. You want to put in the solids first, and then you want to pour the liquid. If you put your milk in before your cereal, you're doing it wrong. I don't care what anybody says. That's the only way to make cereal. Cereal first, then your milk. Alright, so now we're just going to let that sit, and it'll give it a nice texture. Stirring that cheese a little bit more. And then and if you're making this for someone and you want to be fancy schmancy, you can just do like a layer of Italian seasoning on top. I know that's not the best even, but like I said, I'm holding a camera and applying seasonings, but yeah, gives it a nice little extra visual pop. Remember, you eat with your eyes first, so I hope that looks good. Oh boy. Alright, so here's what we got. Let me get all my ingredients out of the way. So we have our tomato soup, and then we have our grilled cheese, which looks delicious. At least I think so. And then I forgot to like cut through a tomato, but we do have that. You can see it peeking out a little bit right there, that little tomato. Okay. Yeah, so there we have it. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. That actually does look really, really good. I am very, very proud of myself. All right, I am going to enjoy my meal, and you have a wonderful day. If there's anything, any questions you have, just feel free to ask me in the comments. And if there's anything you want to see or want me to make a video about, go ahead and ask. Like I said, I'm starting out this channel, so I'm not really sure what you guys want. If it's how to make certain things, I'll do it. If it's about nutrition, I'll do it. If it's about like, you know, I don't know. Just if it's about food, ask me and I'll consider it. Okay, bye guys.